So good morning, Dave.
Morning, Al. How's your day?
So far, so good.
Excellent.
So you've been at this AVE business in brain mapping for over 30 years, Dave.
Yep.
And I think it's fair to say the world's foremost expert, or one of the world's foremost experts on this topic.
I would certainly say on the topic of AVE, absolutely. Yeah.
So you've written a lot of chapters, you've done a lot of research, you've done a lot of papers,
Yes.
a lot of presentations. So if you had to sum it up for us, Dave, in just a couple of words, what would you say the takeaway lesson is?
Oh, jeez. Let me think about that for a minute or two. You can edit this, right? Oh, good, good. On AVE,
Yeah.
well, the takeaway, I guess the takeaway lesson is that, blinking lights and pulsing sounds, when I got into this, they certainly looked like new age silliness and nothing credible at all. But the more science we do on it, the more we realize that actually flashing lights are incredibly powerful on all levels of the brain. Neurotransmitters, cerebral blood flow, stimulating lactate, ATP, norepinephrine, stimulating microglia, stimulating astrocytes, improving sleep. You just never would have thought that flashing lights, done properly, can completely affect the brain and can treat a multitude of psychiatric disorders.
So, the thing that's been most exciting for me is these couple of brain maps you've done on really challenging and difficult people who we've sort of developed the capacity to work around some of their problems, but we haven't been able to fix some of their problems. So the couple of brain maps you did gave us great insight into what the problems are and great hope for the use of AVE to sort of deal with those problems instead of just working around them.
Well, like any mechanic working on your car, they have to get to the source of the problem. As I had mentioned the other day, if your car goes slow and it pulls to the left, you can see those symptoms, but what are the causes of those symptoms? Does he have a flat tire? Does he have a locked brake? Maybe there could be something wrong with the left transaxle and the transaxle is locking up. You have to get in there and take a look. You have to see a picture of what's going on. And brain mapping gives us the picture, and that's our starting point as to why the symptoms are the symptoms that they are. And then, you have to have that starting point before you can proceed.
Right. And your approach to EEG, QEEG, and the brain mapping is really very different than anything else I've seen. It's much more comprehensive.
Yeah, I think I learned that you really have to connect with your clients. You have to I get right in their face. I got to know if I'm seeing a little spike. I have to know if that's actually a little epileptiform discharge or if that's actually a little twitch in the face. And so much of behavior, and back in the 80s, when EEG was first developed, they were always streaming EEG and seeing how the brainwaves were relating to people's behavior. So they watched it in real time. Now with the advent of QEEGs and all this fancy brain mapping, I think people have very much lost touch with the importance of having a dynamic recording on the fly and watching what's going on. Now they just have magic, pretty colors, and that's what they rely on, and they've lost their understanding of what's really going on in the brain. And you just can't process. As you saw, we can see when the brain's turning on, when it's turning off, turning on, turning off, and some people have attention spans of 30 seconds and then they're just blitzed out. Then they're attentive, then they're blitzed out. A map will not show that. It's one thing to observe a butterfly flying, it's another thing to observe the butterfly when it's pinned onto a board. And brain maps, to some degree, are watching the butterfly pinned onto the board. We still have to look at the raw streaming EEG and their face and their body and what they're doing. At the same time, we're watching the brain waves to see how their brain is actually in flux while they're in awakened state and while they're doing things in their lives. We have to see how stable that brain is and what it's doing. And I do rely on brain maps, but that's the second thing I do is the processing. The first thing is watching it happen in real time. And that without that, you just have no idea what you're doing.
So again, that's probably the most remarkable part for me, is to watch those EEGs stream and have insight into the person, their brain, but also into their behavior, and be able to explain to us why people are doing some of the things they're doing.
Yes, I can tell when they're attentive, I can tell when they're fogging out, I can tell when they're thinking stuff. I can tell all kinds of things in real life as it's going on. I can tell if parts of their sensory areas are spinning too fast, if their cognitive areas are running too slow or running too fast, and when they're on, when they're off, right? And we have to see that, because of course you can talk to a person and one moment they get you, then you talk to them again and they're just like, huh? And they don't get it. Or one moment they catch all the road signs when they're driving down the highway, next time they miss all the road signs when they're driving down the highway. And this will not tell you that. This will tell you the overall state of the brain, but it will not tell you when they're on and when they're off, and how their behaviors and how those patterns are playing out. So yeah, that's why I always look at it in real time in a very serious up close way. I get very close to the client.
You know,
and watch it happen.
I haven't had a lot of experience with brain mapping, but some, and my experience is that the people who are doing the EEGs just look at the screen. They don't look at the patient.
True.
They don't
Yeah.
interpret what's happening across the screen.
Yes, true. I think too many people hide behind. The problem when you have all kinds of equipment involved is it's easy to hide behind your equipment. So you get the feeling that you're doing something for your patient, but really not be that connected to your patient. I think there's a number of psychologists who actually are kind of uncomfortable getting too close to their patients. And there's a lot of hassle dealing with people who are not doing well, who are struggling with dysfunction and so on. So, yeah, I think they hide behind their gear, but they still get to feel that they're doing a good job. When the reality is you've got to be up close and personal with all your patients, as you know. And if you don't connect, they won't improve often.
Well, you did a wonderful job connecting with the people you saw, not only reading their brains, but having a relationship with them that you started fairly quickly. And for one of the gals, you actually got a hug when she left, which was kind of amazing.
Yes, yeah, thank you. Yes, well, again, an ivory tower approach is not going to help. A top-down approach is not going to help. They've got to know that I'm there for them, and I'm with them, and I accept them as pretty much an equal to myself, and I care for them. And the more brain maps I do, the less judgy I am about people, because I realize so many people, in fact, I'm judgy in the opposite direction. When I see people with such impaired brains, and yet, like when your brain is doing well, you can spend 98% of your day just accomplishing all kinds of things, 2% on brain maintenance. When your brain isn't doing well, 90% of your day is just trying to keep level, just trying to keep from not falling overboard, and you only got 10% for your day. So when I see people whose brains are just smashed up, like functionally, and yet they're not alcoholics, they're not drug addicts, their lives aren't doing great, but they're getting through them, and they have enough sense to keep stable and to fight all those sort of demons, if you want to use it for lack of a better word. And at the end of the year, they've done okay. They've done a lot better than people with good brains. They haven't accomplished much, but they haven't done crazy stuff either. They've managed to put a lot of effort into keeping fairly level and conducting their lives reasonably properly. When I see that, I'm just like, this is a testament to your character. Your life, the way it's gone with this brain, means you're an incredibly awesome person. And you've done amazingly well.
Well, your techniques.
You're pulling a Mack truck with a Volkswagen. And if you can do that, it might take you a long time to get one city to another city, but if you still get there, that's impressive.
Well, I think your whole approach builds our compassion.
Great, thank you.
And it reminds me of Father Gregory Boyle, who said, rather than stand in judgment of the people that we're here to help, we should stand in awe of the effort they make and the burden they carry. So
Absolutely.
I think you're a testament to that.
Yeah,
And so,
absolutely.
I hope we can get you to move to Vermont and help us with a lot more people, but thank you so much for your help.
Well, Vermont's a beautiful place. You never know.
Thank you, Dave.
A pleasure. Thank you.